Hello everyone, it's Kadmiel for a solo episode this time. It is midnight, and yes, I just watched Inception, which was this movie about dreaming that came I guess in 2010. And it's just about this agent who goes into people's dream and try to, for example, get informations and sell it. Like he's kind of a James Bond, but he goes into your head and make you live a dream and take some things he wants. And this movie was confusing as fuck. Like the the premise of the movie is literally we have to make this person do something, and in order to do that we're gonna make them sleep, go into their dream, and in their dream we're gonna go to sleep again and dream again in the dream, and in the dream we're gonna dream in the dream. And essentially the end is they gotta wake up from all these dreams at the same time. But what's most confusing about this movie really is that it makes you question reality. Like, how did they say that? I think it was a philosopher that said that is you choose what's real or not at the end of the day, and everybody kind of lives their own reality. Like you For example, you try to identify to someone's pain, right? And let's say, for example, we all agree that some people have it worse than others, right? But when you look at it really, when you think about the fact that everybody lives kind of their own reality, it's the worst pain that someone has felt is the worst pain they have felt. Like they cannot imagine beyond that because they kind of have not experienced that. They can, they can have empathy for that, but some people, for example, you see that it takes a little to kind of break them, when for some of it takes a lot. And it's not a matter of how strong or how weak, it's just that this is the worst they have ever lived. And because that's the worst thing they have ever lived, that's why it's so kind of earth shattering for them. And Inception is have you ever dreamed and like dream dreams are what you feel, they are not really what you see. You go in a dream and a lot of weird things happen but you when you're in a dream you never question whether you are dreaming or no. You think this is real. In the dream, as long as you're dreaming, you think that, yeah, I can fly, obviously. And it's you always knew that you could fly, and you live all these memories. In my dream, if I because I do pay attention to my dreams sometimes, but I know that sometime I will visit same places. You visit familiar places. But they are familiar, they look like your house, but something is different. I know for a fact that in my dreams, for example, I will sometimes visit my high school in Ivory Coast. But it's not my high school, really. It's a mix of all the schools I've been in, except the Coad. So, you go into a hallway and you would turn to your left, and it's my primary school, or it's a mix. But when I'm in the dream, I don't even question it. I'm this is my high school. This is how it has always been. And it's kind of weird that, you wake up and obviously the Matrix and Inception, all these people online are oh my God, we must be in a dream. This is not reality. I think we are in reality. But if you think we're in the Matrix, have it, guys. I'm not here to question your reality, although sometimes I think you're crazy, but as long as you're not hurting anyone, live your truth, I guess. But when I say it's not about how you feel, but more it's more about how you feel that what you see. Like you don't question what you see, although it's weird. But as long as it feels real, you think it's real. And I read that thing that I've experienced it very few times, like what they call dream paralysis. And you get into dream paralysis, which is essentially like someone like deep sleeping and like being in a state of sleep where they are dreaming and they are being woken up, like they wake up at this time and it's like they cannot move. Like people describe weird feeling when they kind of wake up in the middle of a dream like that, like they cannot move. That's one thing, because like your body, in order to not sleepwalk, will kind of paralyze you when you experience your dreams. Otherwise you'll just start, I guess, do taekwondo in your bed. I don't know. Whatever you're dreaming, you're gonna start acting it in real life. So your body literally shuts your muscle down. And when you wake up in a dream paralysis and you cannot move, it happens sometimes that you are still experiencing the dream. Like it's almost like it's not really about what you see. Sometimes people describe having hallucination, but it feels like you are still in the dream. Like whatever you were experiencing in the dream, when you wake up during a sleep paralysis and you have that happening, you are literally feeling the same, experiencing the same thing. So let's say like usually like I have had it. Like I remember one time I've had it, and that was a nightmare I was having. And I woke up and I was in the dark. I don't remember what was happening in that nightmare. Like I don't know, guys. Like, do you like sometimes remember like your dreams? Are you like one of those people that always remember the dream, or like always remember the nightmares? Like I'll remember my dreams for like 30 seconds after I wake up, and then it just slips out of my mind. But it was definitely a nightmare because I woke up and like I was scared. And when I woke up, I could not move. I literally could not move out of my bed. I was like, my eyes were wide awake. I knew I was awake, but I was still experiencing that fear. Like, I was scared in my bed to death in my bed. And I'm like, I know I'm in my bedroom, but I am scared and I cannot move. But I'm like scared of whatever I saw that I don't remember what it was. And a lot of people like describe, like, I mean, you can see all kind of stories, like people saying that, yeah, oh, the devil slept with me, like that kind of stories. You're like, damn. Like, and obviously, like, they must have had a bad dream and they are still experiencing that. And everybody gets their own conclusion from the dream, sleep paralysis. But another thing that's also fascinating about dreams is like, some people, like, it's possible to control them. And when I was an adolescent and I was like, I would experience stuff, guys. I just went into like, oh my, these YouTube videos that like tells you like how do these 5 steps and you're gonna be able to control your dreams. And like, I did it. Conclusion: it didn't work. Like they tell you, like, like for example, if you see a familiar place when you wake up, like, write down what you saw, like write your dream. So like whenever you go into your dreams, you know when you will see this place, you will know that you are dreaming, and all of a sudden you become aware of that you are dreaming. And like honestly, like I feel like every time I've been aware that I was dreaming, I woke up immediately. Like I kind of leave the dream, like it just falls apart, which happened in Inception. Like like whenever the reality, like they are not focused on the dream anymore, it kind of breaks down around them, and like the dream stops, and they essentially wake up. But like jot down like your dream. Like I've tried it, it didn't work. But like when I talk about, for example, the high school I went to, like the high school of my dream, like I go into, and it's kind of a mix of all my high school experience, kind of my adolescence in a sense. It's like I have I know about that place because it happened that I became aware I was dreaming when I was visiting that place. Because like you obviously you start to see things, you feel things, but like at some point you just like, this feels odd. And like for most of your dreams, you just think you are living something like a true story, like you are in an action scene and you are fighting like bad guys like with guns, you're shooting guns, and you think this is real. Like there is no doubt in your mind while you are dreaming that whatever you are living is real for that specific time. But I guess there is a time where like it kind of clicks in my mind that something is off, and I just go like, "Oh, I'm in a dream." And it for 30 seconds I would just look around me and like I remember that like for that specific time, like I just look around me and I'm like, "Oh, this is a dream. Like I'm dreaming. Oh my God, this is crazy. I'm kind of aware in my dream." And like 30 seconds later, I don't know, guys. It's like all I remember from that dream is that those 30 seconds where like I snapped out of it and I was like, "Oh, it's a dream. I'm in a dream." And then I guess I just forget that it's a dream, and I don't know. Like this is kind of crazy, but some people like say they can control the dreams, and other people say that they have healed from like controlling their dreams, like going into their own memories and kind of like maybe you live some kind of nightmare of trauma and you kind of change the outcome of it in your dreams, and some people say they have healed from that. I mean, I want to heal from my college experience. Like, it's kind of busy all the time. I don't have time to do anything fun, and I'm like, bro, if I can go in my dream one day, and whenever I start dreaming about Dracoa, then like be like, oh my god, my college experience was all about partying and like stuff like that. Like change the outcome and be like, no, I'm happy. It's kind of cool. I also do remember a time when like I changed the outcome of a dream. Like I know it was like I was in a car about to crash, essentially, and like as I say, like when usually like in the movie Inception, when the protagonist die in the dream, they wake up. And like I do clearly remember that part like of me controlling the outcome, because like it's about like I'm in this high car that's like speeding. I don't know what was happening. All I remember was the moment the car was about to hit something. And like you feel like, oh my god, this is the end. I'm about to die. And like this, I guess again, this fear of this overwhelming feeling like takes you, and like for this specific moment you kind of are aware that, I guess not that it's a dream, he said, but you just become aware. You just like, oh my god, like it feels so real that I can move. Like I'm not in this dream anymore. And like I guess what I did at this point was like kind of wish that this car did not crash, and like all of a sudden I'm in another scene, like I'm in another place. And again, it lasts like 30 seconds where I'm like, oh my god, it's a dream. And then you just go back in the dream again. You just keep on dreaming and you just keep thinking it's real. And when you wake up, you just like, oh my, like, I don't remember what I dreamt, but I do remember that I was in a car about to crash, and I just wish that something else happened. And it happened. And that's all I remember for that, from that dream again. But what, like something else, like have you ever like, obviously I've not peed in my bed like since I was 6 years old, but when you're in your bed, when you're sleeping and like you feel like you want to pee but you're still dreaming, like in your dream you feel like you want to pee. Like it's kind of weird. You're just in your dream, or like let's say it's your room is very hot or very cold, and you feel it in your dream somehow. You just feel that heat, like, oh my god, I'm so hot. Like you sometimes you just end up naked in your dream and you're like, why am I still hot? I don't understand. I'm so hot. And it's it's again like sometimes it can make you aware that you're in a dream or no, but I again like every time I've been like, if I wanted to pee really bad, usually I'll wake up. I'll be in the dream and it will become so overwhelming that I'll just wake up and be like, oh, I need to pee right now. But I've had like moments where like I wake up from a dream and I wanted to I thought there was a time. Okay, there was a time where I thought ideas you get from your dream are like great ideas. I don't know from what movie I saw that. Like I've maybe Salvador Dali, that crazy painter that came like with an anteater on a TV show like one day. Like this dude was out of his mind. He was out of his mind. I'm sorry. I know he's living his own reality, but like gosh. But what some of his painting, he was like trying to induce himself in a dream state. Like I don't know if he took drugs or something, but he would try to sleep. But like when he's like, he would try to wake himself up and like be like in a dream state. Like he was trying to be in a dream state and be like in that state. Like he would just start painting and like in when he's like hallucinating and like he would make these crazy paintings and obviously he made money. So I was like, well, maybe if I start like jotting down my dreams, maybe good ideas are gonna come out of it for my project. Oh no, guys, I have so much shame going into those notes. Or like I wouldn't write them actually. I would just voice record them. And I had the craziest ideas I, oh my god, I maybe one day I'll go through them like, but I'm so ashamed to go back to them. Like they exist and I've not touched them since I've stopped, like since I've understood that like the ideas you get from your dreams are very insane. They won't change the world. Like maybe I don't know, like maybe some people get like the best idea in the world in that state, but bro, the best idea is just keep on prototyping, man. Like that, there is no way. I know there was a dream. I'm like, oh my god, it's kind of a game where I was being put in a catapult and I was being like thrown on my enemies, and I'm like, that's Angry Bird. It exists already. That you have not innovated anything, dude. You have not innovated anything at all. That's Angry Bird. Somebody made it already. Stop. Like quit thinking your dreams are like. But I mean, talking about other types of dreams, like in the movie again, Inception, like they were like sometimes like the seed of an idea is placed in you and it grows into your own reality. And obviously there are a lot of people that did amazing thing based on a dream they had. They slept one night and they had a dream and they woke up, and since then everything was kind of different. They just went into that direction. And I mean, I find it fascinating. I never had that type of dream where like I wake up and I'm like, oh my god, I know what I need to do now. But it's, I know, so my family now lives in Spain, and it happened like 6 months after I arrived in the US. And when I left Ivory Coast, there was no talking about living in Spain. Like absolutely not. And like in November when my mom visited me, like after like my first 5 months or something, she was like, yes, we're getting ready to go to Spain. And I was like, that's kind of sudden. Like, where is this coming from? Like, this desire to go to Spain all of a sudden. I swear, and maybe my mind is playing with me because that was kind of unbelievable. But she was like, yeah, your dad kind of dreamed about that. And he woke up and he was like, yeah, I want to go there. And I was like, what kind of man does that? Like, How can you trust your dream so much that you would kind of gamble on this weird destination all of a sudden? Obviously, I'm pretty sure he made a lot of research, but I'm not gonna lie. The beginning of like living in Spain was like is tied to some of the most like or horrible memories I can have. It also like made me an adult, but it was so bad because it looked like all the stars had aligned to make our lives miserable. Like things I never thought I would experience, I experienced them, and it was like the 6 months that were like the hardest for me. And I mean, obviously they have been beaten by far, but like at the time, like it was like bad. Like I'm talking about like being extremely broke, and like that to a point where like I thought I was like every type of security I thought I'd had in life like disappeared when I was like, I need to get my like it's on me to do my part and get myself out of it. But like in that state, I was like, oh my god, like why did you follow your dreams? Like what was that? That was the worst decision ever. Today, this is the best decision ever. This is like so good that we are in Spain. Like this is fantastic. And I'm like, thank God you followed your dreams. But like that's something like this is one reason like I'll give like if I'm not rich and famous one day, guys, you know what? It's okay. My parents on the other hand, like they have had like the American dream type of like rise. Like they followed their dreams, and it kind of worked for the best for them. Like, and it's kind of crazy because like you would kind of think like when you have kids, that's the time like you stop dreaming and you stop taking risks because you are looking for stability. Not them, absolutely not them. Even in his 40s, like reaching 50s, he was like, I dreamed of Spain and I'm gonna go to Spain. And like they always like obviously we have kids and we were always part of like like I've never had like absent parent, like parent that were working all the time on their dreams and had never time for us. They always had time for us. They always showed up. They always like were parents to us, like giving us advice, and but we were not an obstacle to their dreams for a second. They keep on dreaming to this day, and I'm just like, if they had not dreamt, I wouldn't even be here. That's how much like dreams and ambitions, in a sense, like ambitions kind of ties to dreams, but it kind of, I mean, when you live that kind of life, like if you listen to the first episode, like kind of the type of stories I tell about my life, which is like especially these 4 years, like just coming into this culture, learning the language, and just like I was I had just turned 18 years old when I came here, and within the first month, I had to like, because I did not understand English at the time, and I came here like I started with the intensive English program, but I did not know, for example, that my dorm was gonna be available only for the summer, and that by the end of the summer I was supposed to have found a place to live. So like I learned it like 3 days before they were about like to kick me out. So literally 3 days, like a 18-year-old Kadmiel with barely any English in his mouth is like searching like for rent, like places to rent, and they were all expensive, and I'm just exploring the place, and I have no car, and I'm in Dallas. I'm like walking. I literally trying to get like public transportation, like I just figured that out, and I'm just going around trying to find places to live. And that was like within like month of me arriving in the US, like at 18 years old, I will sign my first lease. Essentially, like I will be in the first place I rent, and that was kind of like it really transformed you. It's like you gotta be an adult now. Like all your friends are 18 and they're gonna live the average college experience. they're gonna get to grow to a certain pace. You get to grow today. Like there is no like I'm growing up tomorrow or like in 2 years or like I'm gonna have fun. You turn into an adult right now. And it's like it definitely helps you figure out like what you wanna become. And it also like for people that are like, oh my god, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I wanna do. Sometimes I mean that's my personal advice, and I'm not your life coach. I'm not like someone that should be trusted 100%. Like please do your due diligence about whatever I say. But sometimes taking risk actually helps you figure out like who you are or at least what you're made of. Like if you can look at a cliff and jump off it, please don't do that. First, like what the fuck is wrong with you? but, but if you can jump out of it, like you will know what you made out of. But if you don't, you'll be like, oh, so that's what I'm made out of. Like, taking this risk like helped me figure out like what I was made out of, and like that I was significantly stronger than I thought I was. And even when I wasn't, like I had like still room to grow. But it's I remember the dreams I used to have when I was a kid, and how essentially the more I grew up, the the more these dreams are still in me in some form. Like today, I'm studying industrial design. First of all, I should have studied architecture. That's why I came here for. Thank God I did not study architecture. I would have hated myself. I would have, oh my God, I would have despised it if I had graduated in architecture. I do not like architecture. And I knew it because when I came, I was like so like uncertain about what I wanted to do that I took a course in architecture, like an online course where like I really involved myself like into it, and I was like, oh, I don't like it, but like what then? Like what do I do? And like I did a lot of research during my community year like time, like 2 years. I just took a lot of time to just research about what I really wanted until I found industrial design. And like I want to study industrial design, but it's almost like I never knew I wanted to study that. I would never guess that it was what I wanted. But when I look at my past and when I look at what kind of kid I was, it's almost fitting. It's almost like, like it makes sense. Like you can write a story about it. Like this part of your life played into this your decision, and this other part of your life played into your decision, and that's why you kind of felt attracted to that field in a sense. Like part of you liked that much. And it's weird because you never really change in a sense. Like some people like that. When I talk to people in Dallas, like when I was in Dallas and I had no English like in my mouth, I would just spend time. I couldn't have like kids my age because like I was intimidated to talk to them, and I was in a community college. Like it's not like the co-ed where everybody is like close to each other, so you kind of have to talk to each other. It was more like I see them for 3 hours a week, and they don't really have time to like hang out or like do something. Like they usually have like a lot of people in community college, like even in college in general, like have jobs. So, like they have other things to worry about, and they have like friends. Like it's kind of crazy. Like I always say like I'm a 4-year-old American in a sense, because like I've only been here for 4 years. Like but for someone that has been, I mean, if you throw me in Ivory Coast, then I'm 18 years old, because like I've built this friendship for years, and like you know I have my network, I understand how this works. And for a lot of you people listening to that and understanding what I'm saying, surprisingly, because I speak English now, like you've built like this life here where like it's kind of just understandable. Like you just like, even if you are shy, you just know like what avenue you can take to kind of try to meet people when it's not like obvious for at least very less obvious for someone that just shows up here and is like, what is that? Like, why are the streets so wide? Like, when my country is like 5 times smaller than Texas, like the state of Texas, and I'm just like, why are the streets so wide? Like, why is it that big? But like in Dallas, I did not have like these friends, like at least, yeah, my age. So the woman I was renting my room with, like, she was like an elderly person, and she would just take me to her friends, like parties or gathering. So I got to talk to a lot of elderly people, which was extremely beneficial because like they really were kind to me. They had kind of a patience. Like I feel like it if I had met people my age and that kind of wasn't speaking the language, they would have like less patience for me because like it takes time to understand that dude. Like, what is he saying? What does he mean? And like, like we are all like, I've seen it happening. Like I remember in my high school, like there was this dude, he came, I don't know which country he came from, but he's French, like he was trying to speak French, but like Ivorian French, like us, right? And honestly, it wasn't that bad for him. But we kind of teased him a lot about it. Like we low-key bullied him, and he kind of like, did like what I did, like kind of my foreigner laugh. Like you just like, haha, yeah, but I don't have any choice. Like you can laugh at me. I gotta learn that language because I have no choice. But we ended up actually liking him a lot because he was really trying his best, and like sometimes we would just make mistakes about like, like when in America people are like calling themselves like, hey dog, what's up, like this type of things. Like we kind of have this trash talk language too, and he was sometimes saying the wrong way where like it sounds more like an insult more than it sounds like a like a word, like a friendly word. But because like we knew like he was trying his hardest, like it would be actually funny, and we ended up liking him more. So maybe I had no excuse for not talking to people my age, who knows. But I was talking to these elderly people, and like I got to ask them like tough questions. Like that's me, Kadmiel. I meet an elderly person and I'm like, do you have regrets? Is there anything in your life you have regrets about? And they were open to tell me about these things. Like they were not upset at all, and they were pretty open about it. And the thing that came back a lot was like when you get to that age and you kind of get that time is limited. Like you get to be like, my friends are dying, one day it's gonna be my turn, and you have to make like, you have to sit down and look at your past and be like, did I waste my time? And one thing they told me was follow your dream, which is extremely cliche. And also, like, follow my dream. Excuse me, if there was a time where I wanted to draw comics, that would not have made a lot of money, and that would be pretty miserable if I had followed that. Like, follow your dreams. Like, I'm sorry. Like, of course, I will still draw comics. Like, I'm pretty sure I have like a passion for it. But every person that studies industrial design is a failed something, a failed artist, a failed sculptor, a failed anything. They were just like, I'm not gonna go to the bluffer, but I'm gonna because I want the money. So I'm gonna do this other field where I can actually make money. That's usually what a lot of people like. What the reason why they are sitting at the Arc building. but like they were like, follow your dreams. And I'm like, why? Kind of explain me. And they were like, I have, like, obviously they have done well in life. And they are like, listen, I'm not saying that I'm disappointed by the fact that I was able to pay my children's tuition. Like, that's not the point. I'm not saying that money is not good. It makes your life easy. It makes you, it participates a lot in your happiness to have enough money. But showing up to a job that you despise for 25 years from Monday to Friday from 8 to 5 for 25 years, and you sit down and you calculate the amount of time you spent on something you despise, every cell of your being despised it, and like you were making good money, and like you were in your mind like, oh my god, that must justify. Listen, like I can pay my children tuition, I can pay my bill, obviously it's worth it. They were still having like bitterness in their heart about like, I cannot take that time back. And they could always trace back to a time where like they could have changed it. Like they could have made other decision and taken another route, and they wish they could have taken more risk. Like, because like you kind of grow older, and like obviously like the reason why it's called a risk is because there is a lot of unknown, and you don't really know what's gonna happen, you don't know the future. But it's more like, I don't know if you all have that saying in English, but we have that saying that, if youth knew, and if elderly people could, like, you kind of you grow in experience, and you're like, oh my god, this could have actually worked. And like at the time I didn't know that, but I should have taken a leap of faith, because now I know that it could have worked. And I'm like, damn, I cannot do it. I cannot redo my life. I cannot invest 10 years again into a project, or like, I don't have enough energy now that I've grew older. Like this type of regret where they were like, I wish I took a different route. And I was like, damn, like, I don't know what elderly Kadmiel is gonna be, but I kind of wanna follow my dreams. And obviously it's very cliche for a 20-year-old. What, you wanna follow your dream? Obviously there is 100 million teenagers in America that wanna follow their dreams and wanna be rappers and wanna be YouTubers. By the way, most of your rappers out there, you're gonna fail. Please find it. Let go of your dreams sometime. Like, I've had friends that have like followed dreams, and I'm like, you're not gonna make it. It is like, you never know. And I'm like, you are right, and I'm not gonna prevent you from that. And then they fail, and they are like, I'm like, dude, you wanna be a rapper, but you just can't sing. Like, you didn't even train to sing. You didn't even like, like that's one thing about dreams, is that a lot of time, like, we love to see the finished product. Like obviously we admire someone in our lives, right? And I guess especially one thing that made me want to dream big, but maybe like kind of grounded it in reality, was again going back to my parents. They never hid the bills from us. They never like, my dad is a serial entrepreneur, and like there was a time of my life when I was in high school, I could not say what his job was. Like, they teachers would ask me like, what is your dad's job, and people would be like, oh, my dad is like a secretary, my dad is like, he is a computer scientist, he's this, he they had like specific name. I would tell my dad was a businessman, and then people would turn to me and be like, what business is it? And I was like, I couldn't tell. Like, he had at least 5 or almost 7 bankruptcies. He tried a lot for a while before he made something that was successful. And that is like the reason why I'm here today in the US. But at the time, it was like, I don't know what his job is, and I feel like he should find a job. Because sometimes life was good, like when he would like maybe make a company that was making money at the time, like a young startup, it would be making money, and like we'll feel like we have money. and then it goes bankrupt and we don't have money now. And like it's like you feel like two sides of a coin. Like we go like on in a summer, we just go to Europe, we tour Europe, we go to Disneyland, we buy everything we want, and then we come back and we are broke as fuck. We just like broke. And we just like, what happened? Like as a kid, you just ask yourself questions like, what happened? Like what? Like are you still selling computers, Dad? Like what is happening? And obviously, he by just by believing in his dream, like he finally made something successful. But that's kind of what I said, that watching them work, like them not hiding, like when we will ask them like what is happening, they will be like, well, this didn't work and this is this and that, and we will be like, as a like in a way as a kid, that we would understand. Obviously they didn't explain to us, like they didn't pull a sheet, a balance sheet, and we're like, listen kid, like they were more like, this is kind of what happened and this is why we are in the situation we are in. And I will see them work, him and mom, I will see them work every day, and kind of like gradually over the year, like something will work and a lot of things will not work, but one thing will work and it will just be a step forward, and slowly you start to see like these good things happening and building around you, and you're like, it takes a lot, like it takes effort, it takes time, and it takes a lot of doing things you don't like to finally be able to do what you like. Like we all have dreams, but like doing, like meeting all the requirement to make your dream happen, obviously a lot of the things that's gonna come, they are not gonna be things that you like. They're gonna be things that you despise, but they are kind of a condition to meet to kind of get your dreams. And like now I kind of say like I have dreams and I'm trying to follow my dreams, but it's like try to make your dream economically viable, and then you have a better chance of it happening. And making it economically viable is kind of a reason I'm giving my best in the co-ad. And yeah, that's all about dreams, guys. Well, that was a solo episode. I hope you liked it. And I can't believe I spoke in my bedroom for like 42 minutes. Wow, it's kind of insane. But I like Bill Burr's podcast. Anyway, guys, stay humble. Yeah, bye.